Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's live Stahls TV broadcast. I'll be your presenter today, Mike Koval, and today what we're going to cover is how do I print this? A guide to decorating hard to decorate items. Really quickly here, if anybody's having any issues hearing anything, hearing me, seeing me, if you could just do a chat, let Taylor know, so that way everybody's on board and hearing me just fine. With that being said, today's broadcast, we're going to have live chat throughout. So if there's any questions, anything that you're seeing here today, please feel free to chat them out, as I'll be pausing momentarily and briefly throughout this presentation, to field any of those questions. So what we're going to do today, first, initially, I have a poll for Taylor to launch here. So Taylor, if you can go ahead and launch the poll questions, please.
Question was, do you own a heat press? And 80% of you said yes, and 20% of you said no.
Okay. And we have a follow-up question to that. Go ahead and launch question number 2.
Okay, so for that one, 43% of you said yes, and 57% of you said no.
Okay. All right. So with those questions, that helps me. That's good. Most of you already have a heat press, which is great, which I kind of assumed. And I was thinking there would be a little higher folks that have turned away jobs. But that's good that you haven't. So let's get into the presentation today. So as decorating shops today, there's so many different options for you. In most shops, they're decorating very, very successfully the basics of items. Team uniforms, cotton, T-shirts, sweatshirts, things of that nature. They're doing very well. But sometimes there may be some fabrics out there, such as nylon, neoprene, items such as shoes, bags with zippers, that present a challenge to some decorators because maybe they're just, a little intimidated by the product because of the way it looks, the way it is, and just how they're going to fit into a heat press or how they're going to use or know what material it is to decorate. So a lot of times those things are turned away just because you don't know how to do them. So what we're going to be here today is show you how to decorate the most commonly, asked items. Because I myself and in sales and the customer service at Stahls, we're constantly talking to customers, whether it be on the phone, whether it be at a trade show, and they're asking us questions. How do I print? Somebody brought an umbrella. How am I going to print that? We're going to cover that today so that you could decorate these items successfully and confidently. You may ask yourself, okay, well, if these items are so hard to decorate, why do I even want to offer that? Well, there's a reason, because, maybe the guy down the street or the guy in the next town over, he won't decorate them because he doesn't have the proper means to. So that customer really wants that product, so they come to you and they ask you a question, can you decorate it? You say yes. So guess what? You're controlling the price of that, because these tough two items, they command a higher perceived value, meaning a higher price. So when you're the only person around that's going to be able to decorate this for them, you're controlling the price, and they're willing to pay that because they're not going to get it anywhere else. So once you decorate for that customer, he takes it to his event. She's wearing it to the baseball game or whatever it is that item's for. Other people see it, they like it, and they say, "Ooh, where did you get that?" Guess what? He refers them to you, and that's another customer, and that's also more money for you. So let's take a look at, some of the most commonly asked items by our customers and just, how to decorate them. So, what we hear most, umbrellas, shoes, bags with zippers, nylon fabrics, sublimated apparel where you typically see dye migration, and also just things with various seams, V-neck shirts, even neoprene bags. So we're going to take a look at all these items So not only are we going to look at the tough to decorate items, but also on some of the things here, we're going to look at some other placements that you might not have considered, like a sleeve or some locations on a hat, which you may have never considered before. So I have all my items here laid on the table that we're going to cover. I'm not going to do anything here in any particular order. I'm just going to start from my right and then just continue down. So first item here, let's take a look, and we're going to decorate this umbrella here. So you're asking yourself, how am I going to fit this properly into a heat press? So I know this is bad luck, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm opening an umbrella indoors. So we have all this metal in here that's just, awkward if I try to do it here and place it on my heat press. Just what am I going to do? So let's take a step back over to our heat press. And also why this is tough is this is also nylon. And, not every material is going to stick to nylon. So what I'm using here is our CAD prints digital transfer, and I'm using the SuperTech opaque. And what this is designed for is it's designed for nylon, anything with a stretch and rebound, any synthetic really, synthetic fabric this is going to be able to apply to. So this is our SuperTech line in our CAD prints. And if you're just looking for a single color offering, we also offer in our custom cut services Gorilla Grip 2 or also Thermo Grip 2. So Thermo Grip. And those are for any kind of nylon applications that you want. Those are the services that you're going to order. So SuperTech in our CAD prints line, which is the full color offering, and in our custom cut services, Gorilla Grip 2 or Thermo Grip. Those are specifically made for nylon applications such as this umbrella here. So I'm going to pause real briefly here, see if there's any questions, Taylor. Okay, no questions. So, okay, let's take a look at the application here as I have my umbrella and I have it sitting here. Okay, and I want to decorate this area right here. So I don't have right now on my standard heat press a really good way to do it. Even if I open it up like I did before, I'm not really going to be able to do that because A, the metal's there, and really it's not going to be able to sit there properly. So with the Hotronix Fusion, which I'm using here today, it's one of the most versatile heat presses on the market. And why? Because of the ability to interchange platens. And so what we're going to do is we're going to change this platen out to a different one to allow us to quickly and easily decorate this umbrella. So I'm going to take this platen off, and I'm going to use, and this is the 6x20 sleeve and leg platen, which is typically used to decorate sleeves and pant legs, things of that nature. But I'm going to use it for something different today, just because of the basic shape of it and how I could lay something on the heat press with it. So I locked it in place. I get my umbrella. I'm going to pull this back to its locked position here. And I'm going to decorate this white panel here. So now what I'm going to do is just stick this underneath, just like this. And I'm going to thread this on. And I'll get a little close up here to the heat press. Oop. So you could actually see this sitting. Tuck these other ones back up in here. And you can see that's sitting there very nicely. I'm not going to have to hold it, hands free. I got a nice flat pressing surface for my transfer that I'm going to apply. And where did I put it? There it is. Okay. So I have my SuperTech opaque CAD prints transfer that you could order from Stahls. So let me go ahead and place this on my umbrella panel here. One of the challenges when decorating nylon is folks are typically a little nervous because they fear that they're going to scorch the nylon because it's very heat sensitive. That's another benefit of the SuperTech line of our transfers. It can apply as low as 280 degrees, so we don't have any fear of this scorching this nylon at all. So we have our transfer here. I'm just going to do a quick cover with a craft sheet, lock my heat press in, pull this down. I'm set it. My transfer moved here. Wait a second here. Sorry about that. Moved on me there. And we're good. So I'm put that back on. Put my transfer paper back, or craft paper back on there. lock my heat press down for 280 degrees. In this, the CAD prints in the SuperTech, it's a two-step application. So the initial hit is for 5 seconds at 280 degrees with medium pressure. I'll lock that down. Pull this back. And then we're initially going to pull off the carrier sheet. Okay, like so. Place back in, and we're going to do an additional 5 seconds with my craft paper again. For another 5 seconds. 2, 3, 4, 5. Release. Pull. And here we have a successfully decorated nylon umbrella. That was easy. And the problem I was having here when I was sliding this back in, I wasn't paying attention under here. There was a little area, one of these umbrella stems, I guess you want to call it, was getting caught. So that was a little error on my part there. Just pay attention down there, and that would have easily slid right in, no problem. So there we have our first application here, which is a nice nylon umbrella, full color heat transfer. And that's going to stay. You don't have any fear of that coming off. The color fastness is great, so those colors are going to last for you as well. So, and again, if you wanted this in a single color offering, I would recommend the Gorilla Grip 2 or either the Thermo Grip for this application for single color. Okay, so we're going to take a step back over here, and let's go with the next most popular new application these days. Is decorating shoes. And one of the most difficult parts about decorating shoes is, again, how am I going to fit this into my heat press? So Taylor, it looked like there was a question. Go ahead.
Yes, we have 2 questions actually.
2 questions.
The first question is, does the sleeve platen fit on the auto clam?
The sleeve platen will fit on the auto clam without any problem. But one of the disadvantages of having this platen on the auto clam is the way the base is constructed. It doesn't allow you sometimes to thread, a sleeve properly. But for this umbrella, and if you have the counter caddy or the floor caddy with the auto clam, this application would be very possible with that, because it would be able to fit up underneath there. Now, if it was a basic sleeve, which we'll cover in a little bit, we do have a sleeve application. I could kind of show you how it would get kind of bunched up on an auto clam. So you don't have the full versatility with the sleeve platen on a clamshell style as that you do with the Fusion or the Air Fusion. Question 2?
Okay, the second question, does the metallic inks of Roland or Muto eco-solvent printers work with your print cut heat press products?
They don't. Roland products, the Roland metallic ink, and I've never personally used the Muto metallic ink, but I'm assuming they're very, very similar. I know a lot of Roland's marketing, and some of their videos, show the metallic ink being printed on heat transfer. So it's not that you can't print the metallic ink on the heat transfer, just don't wash it after, because it's not going to last through a wash and dry cycle. You may get one out of it, but you're not going to get any more than that. And even with the metallic ink, if you use it with even on decals, if you rub hard enough with your thumb, you're going to be able to smudge that. So it's not the best ink for any kind of heat transfer. So if you're looking for a metallic look in heat transfer, it's best to utilize our Foil Tech line of printable material. So that, you just use your standard ink there, and that's going to, that metallic vinyl, it's going to allow that ink to take that metallic look, and you're going to be able to wash. It's going to be durable, and it's going to last. Okay, so where were we? We were back at decorating some shoes. So I have a pair of shoes here. And again, like I said, one of the most challenging things about decorating shoes is just how am I going to fit. It's not flat. There's no real area where you could even hold it under there. So again, one of the versatilities of having a Hotronix Fusion, or a Hotronix press, it's the shoe platen, which we're going to take a look at now. which, a lot of you have probably already seen the shoe platen, if you've been to any trade shows or been talking to any customer service who've directed it to show you on the site. But so we have our shoe platen, specifically designed to print on shoes. So we could load both of our shoes, which you'll see here, and decorate them 2 at a time. So we'll just go ahead and load that on, just like the sleeve, pops on easily and locks in. So I'm going to go ahead and get my shoes. Okay, and I'm going to load this just like this. Set my transfers down. Move this shoe onto this side. It's going to sit nice and flat. Turn that around. I was putting it on backwards. Using the wrong side, that's why. There we go. It's like putting your left foot on your right foot. Load them both on there. So now those are going to stay nice and easily. And then this fabric here, it's a basic polyester material that's on these shoes. So I'm going to go ahead and place my transfers. And really with polyester, any material that you pick from one of our services, or if you have your own print and cut device, you have your own vinyl cutter, you're going to be able to cut nearly any type of product that you have on the shelf, particularly with color, or any of your print cut materials. You're going to be able to use anything that you have, especially if it's just polyester or a canvas. Now, if it were like, let's say, a football cleat, such as this, this one here, this is, a leather shoe. So then you'd want to go back, if you're using our CAD print service, you'd want to use our tech line of products. And again, if you were just single color, more than likely you're going to use the thermo grip or the Gorilla Grip 2. But in our case, what we're showing here is that it's a basic polyester shoes. So really anything's going to work. And what I'm pressing on here now is our fashion film. Just going to place that on my shoe on here. I'm going to do the same here. And I'm going to go load that into my press. And the fashion film, it normally applies at around 300, 305 degrees, but it's going to be safe at 280, so we're just going to leave it at that. Decrease my pressure. Oops, I went going the wrong way. Righty tighty, lefty loosey, right, Mike? There we go. So fashion films, again, 10 to 15 seconds, for a successful application. So we're at 10 seconds there. Pull this away. I'm going to go ahead and remove my backing of my fashion film. And there we have successful. It's be tough to see on there. There we have the Nightmare 55 on there, quick and easy, and the same over here. And if I wanted to, if I'm going to decorate maybe the back here, one of the nice things about this shoe platen is I could place it on here like this and also decorate the back. So you have a lot of versatility there to decorate, a number of areas on your shoes. And even you could probably get this on there a little bit in the front. Well, with that tongue, it's probably going to be tough to do there. So primary applications with the shoe platen, you're going to do the sides and also the back. Any questions so far, Taylor? Okay. Okay. So that's going to lead us to one of our next items here. All right, what do we have next? Okay. So we have a hat. Now, you might be thinking, okay, what's so hard about decorating cap? I have a cap press, or I have an embroidery machine. I could just embroider on the front. I could put a quick transfer on the front with my cap press, no big deal, right? Well, I don't know if you've seen, one of the more popular trends these days, not only for decorating hats, is decorating the bill, the top, and also the bottom. Just, okay, how am I going to fit this under my press without holding it like this? Again, let's take a look at utilizing one of the proper accessories, in order to do something like this. We call it the cap bill platen, and it's a specially designed platen to print the bottoms and the tops of cap bills. So let's take a look at how we do that. So Let's go ahead and change out our shoe platen here. And we have the cap bill platen. That's a pretty odd shape, right? So let's go and put it in here and show you how it works. Just pop that in place, lock it in. Go ahead and grab my cap. So how this works, you basically take your cap, place it right in this groove here, and I could do up to 3. If I had a couple more, I'll just take this one off the shelf. This one's already decorated, as you can see. Just lay this one here, that one's in place, and I could lay one more up front here. So I could decorate 3 caps at once. So it's also, not only can you do a unique application with caps, but you could also do more than one at a time. So it's increasing your production efficiency as well. So, and again, this is just a basic polyester. This might even be cotton covering this bill. So again, like we had with the polyester shoe, we could really use anything that we currently have on our shelves, whether it's CAD cut, whether it's print and cut, or we could also order any of our services, any of our materials, we're going to be able to go ahead and stick to this. So if you're doing CAD prints, I'd recommend the express print transfer for this. And if you're doing custom cuts, fashion film is probably going to be your most effective, for your single color options there. So in our case, we're using, I'm using a metallic transfer here. And this is our foil tech. Now this isn't necessary for the material, it's just I'm using the metallic more for the look. So I'm just going to go ahead and place that on there. Cover it with my craft sheet. Place it on the heat press. And again, this is the tech, so it's a 2-step application. 280, 5 seconds. Lock this down. Remove my cover sheet, and then we're going to go ahead and remove the mask from our digital transfer. Let this cool slightly. And allow us to peel it off. Okay, we have that. And then we'll do our second application, same time, same temperature, 280 to 300 for 5 seconds. Okay, there's a question.
Yes, there was a question about who is the provider of our hats.
The hat I'm using, it's Auto. Yes, Auto Cap is the hat I'm using. It's a flat bill style, and these are the caps I would definitely recommend using when pressing the under the bill. Because a curved one, if you had one of the common hats, the bills are curved. Those are going to be hard to get in there straight without bending it back. So the flat bill is the best cap to use when decorating underneath the bill or even the top. So there you have that there. Any other questions?
Yes, we have another question. They want to know how much the hat bill platen is.
The hat bill platen is $235, and again, it can fit it's designed for the fusion and air fusion. Now, it would be able to fit on a clamshell. But the way it's designed, if you didn't have a caddy or a floor caddy, you're not going to be able to sit these on there without it probably touching the bottom of your table and lifting it up a little bit. So, if you wanted to use this on a clamshell style, you definitely want to have the counter caddy or the floor caddy. So like I said, it was on the Fusion, the Air Fusion, this is specifically what these ones were designed for.
What material is used for CAD prints?
What material is used for CAD prints? Well, our CAD prints offering, it is available in the same way that you would purchase it in roll form. So the most common for your basic cotton, polyester, well, let me say most polyester, which you'll see why here in a little bit. Cottons, most polyester, and 50-50 blends. Our express print is the most popular and most cost effective. But when you start transitioning into synthetic fabrics such as polyester, nylon, leather, spandex, or anything that requires a stretch and rebound, you're going to want to use our SuperTech line, and that's available in a few different finishes, from the SuperTech Opaque, which is just for basically any of the nylons, any that requires a high stretch and rebound. We also have our SuperTech subless stop, which again we'll see here shortly why you'd want to use that, but that is used to prevent dye migration. You know, if any of you have ever tried to decorate, let's say a red polyester, you decorated it with anything white, you know, it turns pink. Well, what the subless stop is designed to do is prevent that dye migration from turning your transfers pink, and I'll show you an example of that here in a bit of why it works. And the tech line's also available in the foil tech, which gives you a white metallic option, a gold metallic option, or a silver metallic option. You know, so you have all those options in CAD prints, and if you own your own print and cut device, you have those same access to materials in roll form to load into your eco-solvent or solvent-based printer. Okay. All right, so, let's see, how would you then decorate the top of the bill? Okay, that doesn't fit in there like that, does it? No. So what we would do is we'd turn this cap inside out. Okay, just like that, turned inside out. Okay, now we're going to decorate the front or the top of my bill. I'm just going to bend that down slightly, and that's going to sit there nice. And then I have a tag here. Obviously, you'd want to remove any tags, you know, before pressing there. All right. Any questions, Taylor? Just need to see the hat when I'm done. Okay, I'll take this over to Taylor. All right, so let's go back to our table of fun here with some more of our items to press. All right, so, you know, umbrellas, shoes, you know, the hat, you know, those are some of the more odd-shaped items, if you will, that it's sometimes tough to press. But now you have a nice confidence of what you might need for your current heat press, or, you know, possibly get a new heat press to expand your current offering, you know, and now some of the materials that are required to decorate something like this. Okay, so let's take a look at, you know, let's get into a bag. Now, bags are one of the more tougher things to do, and reason being because there's always straps involved, there's zippers, and so many things that just not going to allow you to lay this into a heat press and, you know, press a transfer on it, because, you know, all these zippers, all these seams, all this piping and thickness of this, it's not going to give you a good even pressure on your pressing area, which, you know, if you don't have even pressure, you know, your transfer is not going to stick properly across the board. So what we're going to do is we're going to press the front of this bag, you know, because, you know, typically you're carrying it like this, and you're going to want to show that logo, whatever it is, right here in front. But one of the challenging things about this bag is this zipper here. Like I said before, even if you tried to lay it on your press here, just flat like this, it's going to be tough to do because of the zipper, the piping, this buckle here. You know, so let's take a look at how another optional platen is going to allow you to quickly, easily, and successfully decorate this bag here. So let's take a quick zoom to my heat press again. And so pull this platen out. And I'm going to use the 6x10 platen here. And what this is going to allow us to do is dress this bag over this platen, so that we avoid the zipper, we avoid the strap, and we avoid everything that's going to get in our way from giving us an even pressure. So let's take a look at how we do that. First, you have to open your zipper. We're going to position this in here. So I'm opening the bag just like this, so there's nothing in there. We're going to go ahead and place this in here. We're going to drape that over so that this piping is below. So you can see here, no piping is going to be interfered. We're going to place this transfer. The zipper, it's below. So again, nice, flat pressing area here. Let me see if I can zoom in here. Was that 4, Taylor? Yes. So if I zoom this in, you still have a nice, clean area there for us to place our transfer. And so this, again, this is just a polyester bag. So really any of the products that we have on our shelf, whether it's fashion film, thermofilm, premium plus, or, you know, whatever it is that you're currently using, more often than not you're going to be able to successfully do that without any problems. So what I'm using here, it's our fashion film neon green. I'm going to place that on my bag here. And where did my craft sheet go? There it is. our sheet just to protect our bag. There's no real need for it, but it's just always good to, I like as more of a peace of mind thing. Lock that down. Fashion film applies at 10 seconds. I forgot to change the time here, so we're going to have a little annoying beep right now, and we're going to lift. Pull out our platen here, and fashion film, it's a hot peel product. Let's go ahead and remove, and now we've just successfully decorated quickly, easily, a front zipper of this laptop bag here. Really difficult to do without the proper optional platen here, and like I said, this is just polyester, so really any product that you have is going to work, but it's more so of the oddness and the placement of this that makes it unique. So there's a question?
The question is, they would like to know the size of the platen that you're using and how much it costs.
The size of this platen, let me go ahead and take it off so you guys can get a better look. The platen I'm using right now, it's a 6-inch. It's a 6-inch by 10-inch platen. And these are, when it comes to the Hotronix platens, the 6 by 10, 8 by 10, 7-inch round, those are what we call stock platens. Those are always available, and they are $100 each. So when ordering, you would have to specify which heat press that you had, whether it's a clamshell, whether it's a fusion, and some of the older models you would have to supply the serial number because the castings have changed over the years, but we can retrofit these stock platens here. So this is a 6 by 10, which I used for this one just because of the size of the bag. Okay. And since we were there, the price of the cat bill platen was asked, and that was $235. The sleeve and leg is the same at $235 as well. Again, when ordering online, you would just need to specify the Hotronix style press that you had, and that way you're going to get the proper one. And if it's an older style, you would have to call in, to provide your serial number there. Anything else, Taylor? Okay. So we took a look at a bag. Now, since we have that platen, which I took off, but we'll go ahead and put it back on there, no problem. We have this little neoprene iPad case. It's a polyester coated, so there's a polyester fabric over top of this neoprene, which sometimes people hear neoprene. Okay, I put that on my heat press. It's definitely going to melt. Guess what? It's not. Having this 6 by 10 platen, it's going to allow us to decorate the front of this cover with our favorite logo. And we'll go ahead and put that back on, and just how easy it is to decorate neoprene. I'm going to go ahead and pop my 6 by 10. That's what's nice about this size here, is it fits perfectly with on there. So I'm going to adjust this on there. Let me move this out of the way. Adjust this on here. Top folds over. Here you see, nice, flat, none of these seams here. In the back there was a little case so it doesn't fall out. It's all sitting underneath there, so there's no areas for the stitching here, the seams, or anything to interfere with our pressure to lead to a faulty transfer. And with this is a polyester, so when it comes to polyester, most of the time what I do recommend is, it's not so much the adhesion. It's always a possibility of polyester to bleed, whether it's black, whether it's red, whether it's blue. I'm sure anybody who's decorated has come across dye migration where their transfers turn pink or some sort of hue of blue, gray from the black. So this Sublistop is what I'd recommend on any Supertex Sublistop on any polyester application, just to take the fear out of it from you're going to have the confidence that it's not going to bleed. Because sometimes with polyester, you don't know that it's going to bleed until after it's already been out the door. It sometimes takes more than a day for that to come through. So when using a proper product like our Supertex Sublistop, how that blocks dye migration is it has a black adhesive on the back. And so what that does is that prevents any of that dye that's being reactivated from the dyes in the polyester to give it the color. It's going to stop it from coming through and turning this white, whatever color the garment is. And if you're just single color, the thermofilm, it does block dye migration as well. Now it's not going to prevent it all the time, but it is going to do a very good job at keeping it to the very, very minimum. So decorate my neoprene here, my 6x10 platen with my SuperTech Sublistop, again, which is available at our CAD print service, or by the roll if you have an eco-solvent or solvent-based printer. Five-second application. Remove the cover sheet. Heal. Cover again. Additional 5. And we have our successfully decorated iPad case or tablet, whichever one you have. Okay, Taylor, there's a question.
The question is if you have any advice on doing a soft-sided cooler, how do not melt the inner insulation?
Well, those ones are, they are a little tricky because sometimes the insulation can't take heat, so, unfortunately the best way to do that is wherever you purchase that to see if that, insulation or whatever it is that's inside of there can take any sort of heat. If it can, depending on the shell, would depend on whatever product that you would use with it. So, and the same goes with rain gear. Sometimes those are very, very tough to decorate because there's coating on them that, for weatherproofing that make them waterproof that just, you can't get anything to stick, whether it's screen print ink, whether it's heat transfer. Sometimes those just aren't able to be decorated with a heat press or screen printing, where those ones, even embroidery is tough because, you don't really want to puncture any kind of rain gear. So sometimes it's just a little bit tough. So there are a few things that you may not be able to decorate with heat pressing because of that, but more often than not, you can. What else? Any other questions, Taylor? Okay, great. All right, so let's, since we're on the polyester and the dye migration, I keep forgetting to change my camera angles here. All right, let's go to the dreaded red polyester. And like I said, most of you have probably come across dye migration issues where, you tried to press something like this because it's red in polyester. No matter what you've done, it always dye migrates, and there's no way to combat that dye migration, because what's happening is these polyester threads, they are dyed to achieve their color. And more often than not, it's a sublimated dye, or just, and what happens is when you put it under that heat, those dyes kind of reactivate, they start dancing around a little bit, and they start migrating through whatever is on top of them. So this transfer, typically if it wasn't the Sublistop, it's going to bleed, it's going to turn pink, and no one's going to want that. So that's why we've created this SuperTech Subliblock to prevent that. So it's allowing you to become a more complete decorator so that there's nothing that you can't do. So, and the application of this, as you've seen, just as simple as the next, but, with a hoodie that we're going to use, we are going to use, the standard 16x20 platen. And again, I'm forgetting to take my camera angle here because I know how much everyone wants to see me. All right, so get my 16x20 platen for my hoodie here. Actually, what I'm going to use is, because I think this is a pocketed hoodie. Yes, it is. So what I'm going to use is, because since this is a pocketed hoodie that has a front, so it has that pocket in there, which is common for most hoodies, is, put that on the full-size platen. What's going to happen is that pocket there in the front could interfere with your pressing area right here, so it's uneven, and that could possibly cause your transfer to come off because you don't have substantial pressure over it. So I'm going to use, this is one of the most versatile platens for, in the Hottronics line. It's the 11x15 because it's a nice platen that could fit on this way. Nice for decorating youth apparel and things of that nature and smaller garments. But one of the nice things I like about this with the 11x15 and the Fusion is you could actually spin it, and you could make that a horizontal platen. Lock it in here, and you'll see when I load my sweatshirt, pocketed hoodie. I could load this in just like that. So my hood, my strings for the hoodie tie, and the pocket, which is right here now with this smaller platen turned horizontally. I'm just going to lay that back down there so I have a nice full front area to decorate my pocketed hoodie. Where'd my transfer go? Here he is. Place it down there. The name of the transfer. The name of this transfer, it's again the SuperTech Sublastop, which is available on our CAD prints line, or if you have an eco-solvent or solvent-based printer such as a Roland, Muto, Mamaki, you could purchase this by the roll and print on it with those printers. Get my craft sheet. Okay. 280. Decrease my pressure a little bit. You notice I'm changing my pressure. It's because the thickness of the garment always changes the pressure. So whenever you're adjusting pressure when it comes to heat printing, always do the pressure readout first with your garment in there, because it's always going to change. Like if I put a t-shirt in there, it's going to be a different pressure from that because of the thinness versus this thickness of a hoodie. So remove that. And one of the nicer things about the SuperTech line, which, on a lot of times when decorating these polyester type garments, what you'll see is a heat press mark, and that's more so the fact of the higher temperatures that some products apply with. So with the Tech line, it's a low temp application which drastically reduces the amount of that heat press mark that you'll see on these delicate polyesters and sometimes nylon and things. So it's one of the advantages of the Tech line of products because of the low temp app. And for the CAD cut products, you saw our fashion film applied at 280, and also the Premium Plus that we offer also applies at 280 for your single color offering. So there we have our decorated hoodie with the Sublastop. So now that's not going to bleed through, and so you're confident once you get this out to your customer, it's going to look just like this and just look like the way they wanted it. So there's a question?
Yes, the question is, for the pocket of that hoodie, how would you be able to decorate that
Decorated pocket of the hoodie. Good question. Glad you asked. Because what we could use there is, again, we could just put it on this platen here, just for time purposes, but you could really use the larger platen. Okay, so how am I going to avoid the seams on that? And it's not like I could thread anything in there. So what you're going to use in that case is, it's called a Print Perfect pad. And what this is just a little rubber pad, very similar to the rubber that's on your heat press. And what we're going to do is we would place this pad inside of the pocket or underneath, whichever way you want to do it. You put it in there, you slide it in, and what that's doing is that's going to raise your pressing area up so that those seams and everything fall below that, and you're going to be able to go ahead and decorate that. Just know that whatever size Print Perfect pad has got to be slightly larger than the actual size of the transfer so that you're going to get an even pressure there. So these Print Perfect pads, they do come in a few different stock sizes, but what I like to do is, you could purchase a 16 by 20 size. Forgive me, I can't remember the price, but they are listed on our site. And you could actually cut it to size, so if you had a specific size, you can get that larger one and cut it whatever shape or size that you might need. And one other thing I've seen people use, and I've used it myself in a pinch, is a mouse pad. So really what you're trying to do is you're trying to raise that pressing area up so that all those seams fall below that, which on one of these V-necks, which I was going to show you this pad anyway, but that's a nice segue into that garment. So good question. All right, so let's switch my camera angle back again real quick. And I'm going to decorate this sweater vest here. And what typical application of this, it's going to be the left chest. And so just like that hoodie, sometimes no matter what size platen you have, it's tough to position this in the proper area so you can get the proper placement on the left chest to avoid the seam. And again, this is where we're going to use this Print Perfect pad again that you just saw. So we'll go ahead and do this vest. And we're going to need a director in here, Taylor, with these camera angles. Okay, so like I said, no matter really how I place this on this platen, it's going to be tough for me to avoid these seams. And even though you may think this seam's over here or just at the very edge, that little bit could take away from that pressure, which you might not notice right off the bat, but it might only last through 10 wash cycles as opposed to the 40 that it should with the proper application. So we'll just go ahead and use this same pad, and like I said, we just want to make sure that the transfer is no bigger than the pad so that you're going to get an even pressure there. So I will go ahead and place this on the inside here. Okay, place that down, and the product I'm using here, this is 100% cotton, so really anything is going to stick to cotton. So whether it's if you're using the CAD prints, the express print's going to work just fine. It's going to be the most cost effective, or if you're ordering custom services, the fashion film, it's going to be your most cost effective there. And as well, if you cut your own vinyl, print your own transfers, just use whatever you use for your basic cotton t-shirt. Oops, don't want to put it upside down. Place that on there. I'm just going to cover. And when using any sort of print perfect pad within there, you also want to gauge that temperature before you do it, because that print perfect pad is raising it up again and it's going to change that pressure, so you want to make sure you adjust that prior to actually heat pressing it. Now if you don't, you see that it doesn't cause any real issues. It's just a lot easier to do it up front. There we go. And the transfer I had here just for this particular garment was the Super Tech that I'm using, but like I said, with 100% cotton, there's no real need to use this Super Tech, because the express print works just fine. It's going to cost you a little less. Okay, so there we have our sweater vest decorated here. Left chest, perfect. It's going to last. It's going to look great there with the optional platen with the Hotronics and any of the print transfers that we have. Any questions? Okay.
Yes. The first question is, which of the cover sheets gives you a matte finish and which gives you a glossy finish?
Glossy finish, that's going to be the reusable cover sheet that we have. And if you want a matte finish, you definitely want to use the craft paper or a parchment paper. Where you see the gloss and the matte really come into play with the cover sheet is with CAD prints, or if you're printing your own transfers with a solvent printer. On full color transfers is where you'll really notice the shift, and with the reusable cover sheet giving that printed transfer a glossy look, or with the craft giving it more of a matte finish. Now you can notice it subtly on CAD cut designs, but not so much difference whether it's the reusable or the craft sheet. So I always like to use craft sheet, because you're always using a variety, not just CAD cut, either the full color CAD prints or you're printing your own. So I like craft paper, because I do prefer a matte finish. What else?
When pressing onto ribbed material, is there anything special to do for the transfer to go into the ribbing?
If you want it to go into that ribbing, you'll definitely want to use a thinner and more stretchable transfer. One of our CAD cut products, it's the Premium Plus, that offers a high stretch and rebound. So that's probably going to be your best bet on ribs. And if you're doing full color, the Super Tech Opaque, it has a nice stretch and rebound to it. It's going to work very well there. So it's going to stretch with that rib fabric. And even the Foil Tech is thin and has a stretch and rebound there. So.
Will they be able to press sweaters and polar fleeces?
Sweaters and polar fleeces, like the true sweaters, this one I pressed, it's more of a smoother, almost like a t-shirt type of sweater. But when you get into those little woolly ones, sometimes those are tough because they're so fibrous, and some of the fibers aren't flat. You can kind of feel them; they're kind of sticking up. And same way with the polar fleece. What happens is they don't have a problem sticking at all. That's not the real issue, but it doesn't really bury itself in with a fabric like it was a flat cotton or something like that. What will happen is it's going to stick to the top of that, and over time, since it's not fully down to the whole area there, it's more to the top of those fibers from the polo or the sweater, And so you can see it kind of up off the shirt, and it's probably going to come off through a number of washings there. So can you do it? Yeah, I don't have any problem sticking, but it's not going to stick for the long haul because of how it's sticking to it at the top rather than fully matted into the whole flat of it.
Do the shadows that were left a little bit there on the sweater vest, will those fade after it cools down?
They do fade after cooling down and washing, but again, that's some of the look at polyester. Sometimes it's tough to avoid just with the weave of the fabric, but with cotton it is the most forgiving. That's why most of the time it does go away. And what I've seen sometimes too is a little trick is I've gotten a paper a towel, and it's got a damp towel or a damp paper towel, and then cover it and press it, and it's almost like it's steaming it again and getting that little discoloration out of it. And even sometimes, rather than using a rigid pillow, or I'm sorry, a rigid foam pad like that, using a Teflon pillow in this case, where you would stick it in where it's got some give to it, that constant pressure there. So when you put a pillow, it kind of absorbs it in there, so it doesn't leave that drastic mark there. Anything else, questions-wise? All right, so we have our last item here, which is the dreaded nylon. So we have a nylon jacket here. This is more of like a track jacket or a running jacket there. So a lot of times people like to steer away from nylon for the simple fact that they're afraid they're going to scorch it, or that the adhesive of the product that they're using just isn't good enough, so over time it eventually starts to peel. But with Stahls, we have our Gorilla Grip or our Thermo Grip, which is going to last 40 plus washes on any nylon. What I'm going to be using here is the 3M Reflective, which has a universal adhesive, again, which goes to nylon, any fabric there without any worry of it peeling off, with proper application, of course. And if you're using CAD prints, you're definitely going to want to be in the tech line due to the adhesive there to be able to stay forever on nylon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and utilize the sleeve platen again, which is a nice placement, which is sometimes difficult to do without the proper platen. So we'll go ahead back to our sleeve platen here. Okay. So I'm going to take this, and the question was asked earlier today about the sleeve platen and the clamshell style. See how I'm threading this, it's going through the entire length of the shirt, or of the shirt in this case it's a jacket, because this is 100% open down here. And even if you had the counter caddy or the floor caddy with the auto clamp, the way that base is still designed, it's going to be really tough to properly thread this sleeve on it, the way that it's intended to use. Now granted, yeah, I'd be able to just lay a sleeve over top of this, but the intention of this platen is for you to be able to thread that on there to avoid, any of the seams and things like that. So I'm going to take my reflective transfer here, and I'm using a 3M reflective here. So I'm going to go ahead and place this on here. Cover with craft sheet. Put that down. Adjust my pressure a little bit. There we go. Any questions, Taylor? Take that off. And we have our sleeve pressed here down the sleeve, so it's going to be a nice print there down the side, high visibility there. And one other placements I like to do, with a hooded thing like this, is the back of the hood. Because more often than not, this is rain gear in a marathon, their hood's going to be up. One of the nice applications of reflective, if you are running at night, or if it's raining out there, you want some visibility there, we're going to decorate the back of this hood, so it's visible from the back. And so again, we're going to do that by getting another platen here. And I'm going to go back to my 6x10 on this. And just see how quick it is really to change these platens, so it's not really taking much of your time in the whole decoration process to change these out. So I'm going to take my hood, drape it over this. And with this being pretty thin material here, I'm not going to worry too much about the seams, because I think with it being so thin, we're not going to get much effect from a seam when it's that thin. Place that down, cover it. Knock that in. Any questions? Okay, let me peel this off. We got one more question here. And pull that off, and now I've pressed the back of my hood for some visibility there. If I'm running out in the rain, I could place this a little higher so it wasn't so far down on the neck. That's a little bad placement on my part, but you get the idea. Is with all these different platens, what you might once thought you couldn't decorate, now you can. Just change out some different platens, do some testing, on some maybe things that you have turned away in the past or thought about offering at your shop. You say, how am I going to fit that? Get some of these optional platens, because they're always, they're so useful across the board, not just t-shirts, but bags, hoods, sleeves, you name it. There's so many different things. Just having that optional platen there to give you the versatility, could mean, a couple extra dollars every time. So it's just a good thing to have. And Taylor, that next question.
Someone noticed that you didn't do any preheating, and they wanted to know why.
That's more for me. That was me just not doing it. I always do recommend pre-pressing your garments, and what pre-pressing does is it gets any moisture, any wrinkles out of these fabrics that, if you had them stored on the shelf, a garment's always going to pick up moisture from the humidity in the air. And then pressing that down just gets all of that out of there to prevent any kind of effect in the adhesion of it. So definitely always want to pre-press. Thanks for calling me out on it, because I should have been doing it. But as you can see, it doesn't affect it all that much, but it very much could. So it's just a great idea to always pre-press your garment. And that's why we have it in all of our tech sheets, because we do highly recommend it. Any other questions? All right, well, that about wraps up our class today. I do appreciate everybody being so attentive today. All the questions, they're great. I appreciate the feedback there, and it makes our job a lot easier, and and you guys helping us out with these presentations. So thanks everybody for attending. There is just a brief survey at the end of this. I'd ask if you could just answer that. It'd be great in helping us provide a better experience for you, and feedback from me on how I can make myself better. But we do appreciate it, and be sure to tune in. I think it's at 3:30. Taylor, Josh has a class. Do you know what it is? Well, there is a class today at 3:30. If you go to stahlstv.com and click on the events section, Josh is providing a class today at 3:30, so you could still sign up and register for that today. And we have Bob Robinson doing a class tomorrow on vinyl cutters, top 10 reasons to own. I do believe that's at 2 o'clock as well. So that's a good one. But if you go to stahlstv.com, view the events tab, sign up for any of the upcoming ones that we have. Great. We love to have you. We love the feedback. And thanks again.